is going on, everyone? This is NinjaGeek here, and welcome back to technically the first episode of Road to the Best Hero. In this series, we are going to decipher what is the best hero overall in Overwatch, and please, I do encourage you down below, it is free, there's no account creating, there's nothing at all restricting you, except for you can obviously only vote one time, but if you click on the link in the description below and in a comment that I will leave down below, you will be able to vote on this series as who is the best hero in Overwatch. And for this week specifically, it is week 1, so we are going to be talking about the offensive heroes: Genji, McCree, Pharah, Reaper, Soldier 76, and Tracer. So I kind of want to talk about each heroes, and I'm not going to be giving any opinions to kind of sway the vote. That's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be specifically talking about each hero so that you can decide, obviously, if you obviously play Overwatch, you're going to know which one you may want to vote for. But here we go, starting off with Genji. He, of course, is on the offense, which that's the week that we're doing it for this week. Difficulty 3-star. He has his Shuriken ninja stars, which he can have 2 firing modes. The first one fires all of them in a single direct line, so you have to be pretty accurate. The other one throws 3 of them in a kind of spread fashion, and that one's for more up-close attacks. He could obviously is known for deflecting. That's one of his major abilities. He uses his Swift Strike to get away or get past enemies very fast, and the Dragon Blade is, of course, his ultimate. So next hero of the offensive category that we're going to be talking about is McCree, and McCree is actually a 2-star difficulty, which could be, I think that he is technically in the 2-star category when you think about it. Some people would be like, well, his Peacekeeper is hard to hit with, but he has Fan the Hammer, so I do feel the 2-star difficulty is perfect where he is. The Peacekeeper, he has 2 firing modes. He can fire it single shot or Fan the Hammer. Of course, the combat roll will allow him to roll in any direction that he chooses to go in. The Flashbang will stun enemies. It's very useful during ultimate abilities especially, and Deadeye we all know is his ultimate, which brings High Noon to the table. Now, the next hero we are moving forward on is Pharah. Pretty easy hero, difficulty 1-star. She has a rocket launcher, which fires obviously single-shot rockets towards her enemies. She can obviously jump jet to use her thrusters to jump into the air, and the concussive blast will knock back enemies, and it's very useful for knocking people off of the map. And her rocket barrage is her ultimate, which will, of course, send down a barrage of rockets from her. The next hero that we're going to be talking about is Reaper, and Reaper is a 1-star difficulty hero because he can get up close, and it's really not that hard to use his shotguns, which, speaking of his shotguns, his Hellfire shotguns hold 4 rounds in each shotgun, which, of course, equivalates to 8 because he could shoot 4. He intervals the shotguns. Wraith Form is one of his abilities that will allow him to get out of sticky situations, basically without being hit. He's invincible. Shadow Step will allow him to teleport, and during Shadow Step, you can still be hit, so it's not like you're invincible during Shadow Step. And Death Blossom will just set out a massive attack against enemies all around you, using the shotguns to spray down everything in its path, and that is Death Blossom for Reaper. The next hero we are going to be talking about, the second from last, is Soldier 76, the so-called Call of Duty man. Of course, a 1-star difficulty. His main weapon is the heavy pulse rifle, which of course fires like an assault rifle, 25 rounds, and then he has to reload. He has helix rockets underneath the rifle that will allow him to fire a projectile rocket towards enemies, similar to Pharah's, except it's kind of a little bit smaller than that. But of course, you know, Soldier can't fly, so it makes sense. He could sprint. Unlike any other hero in the game, he can actually run with one of his abilities, and Biotic Field will allow him to put down a health pack for himself so that he can heal. His ultimate is Tactical Visor, which will make him reload faster and shoot with auto aim on, so it takes a little bit, of course, less skill to use than any, pretty much, you know, it's not that hard to use Tactical Visor at all. The next and final hero is Tracer on the offensive side. 2-star difficulty with her pistols that fire very fast, and when she actually reloads, she sends the pistols back in time to reload, which makes them reload very fast. She's a very fast character, of course. One of her abilities is Blink, which will allow her to move in any direction. When I mean any direction, I literally mean in any direction, and that can be used up to 3 times in a single use, or you can save onto them, but they recharge, of course, slower, so you have to be able to make sure that you can hold on to your blinks. And Recoil will send you back in time by about 3 seconds so that you, of course, you restore the health and everything that happened if you are in a sticky situation. Her Pulse Bomb, very useful against heroes like Bastion and Torbjorn with his turrets. And that will obviously, of course, send down her Pulse Bomb. She throws it right in front of her, and then she could, of course, do the famous recall move to get out of that sticky situation. Literally sticky, because the Pulse Bomb is sticky. And so that's pretty much all of the offensive heroes that are in Overwatch at the time that this is going up, because of course we are hearing news about Sombra and what kind of hero she's going to be in the game, but that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Vote down below who you think. I'm not going to be saying who I think. I'm not going to be voting on this poll because that would be kind of unfair in that sort of way, but I know who I want to win, and I'm not going to be saying that because I want to see who actually wins the offensive side. Next week, at this exact day, of course, every Thursday we are going to be doing this series, so every single Thursday we will be back. Next week we are going to be talking about the results, and then we are going to be moving on to the defensive side, and then we will talk about the heroes for that. So anyways, that's it for this video. If you did enjoy, you know what to do. Vote on the poll, and I'll see you next week with the next episode. This is NinjaGeek. I'm out, and peace.